Today on Rappler, two senior intelligence officials say the kidnappers of Australian Warren Rodwell agree to release him. The United States will stay out of the Sabah issue, even if the Sultan of Sulu invokes a 1915 agreement. And North Korea threatens to strike US bases in Japan in response to the use of bomber planes over the Korean peninsula. Hi, I'm Ilo, sitting in for Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Two senior intelligence officials say the kidnappers of Australian Warren Rodwell agreed to release him. As of 7 p.m. Thursday, a military intelligence officer says negotiations for Rodwell's release are over. He might be released to a local Basilan official in the town of Tipo. Another intelligence official says the police and local officials are, quote, just working on the process to transfer custody from the kidnappers. The Abu Sayyaf kidnapped Rodwell from Zamboanga del Sur on December 5, 2011. The group initially set a 1 million peso ransom, but raised it to $2 million by early 2012. In December last year, accounts on Facebook and YouTube posted a video of Rodwell as proof of life. Wearing a black t-shirt, his hair's cropped short, and cheeks sunken, Rodwell said he had lost hope of being released. Sources earlier told Rappler negotiations have been difficult because it's unclear who will lead it. The United States will stay out of the Sabah dispute, despite claims that Washington is bound to protect the Sulu Sultanate under a century-old treaty. Days after his followers crossed over to Sabah, Sulu Sultan Jamalul Kiram III asked US President Barack Obama to help them reclaim Sabah. Kiram's spokesman, Abraham Ijirani, says Washington had a historical obligation to the Sultanate, citing the 1915 Kiram-Carpenter Agreement. Ijirani says the agreement assures the Sultan American protection should a problem arise in Sabah between the Sultan of Sulu and other foreign countries. On Wednesday, U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Harry Thomas, says, "We're not looking to respond in any matter to the invocation of the treaty. I can't stop them from invoking it, but we don't want to interfere in the issue and tell President Aquino and Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak what to do." DILG ARMM Assistant Secretary Sharifa Dan says there are now a total of 3,568 refugees from Sabah. The total includes 230 who arrived in Taganak Island on Tuesday. Out of the new returnees, 61 are from Basilan, 50 from Sulu, 44 from Zamboanga, and 75 from Tawi-Tawi. The Philippine Coast Guard assigns BRP EDSA DOS to fetch the returnees from Sabah. Re-electionist Senator Sen Escudero talks to media after the parents of his girlfriend accuse him of being arrogant, disrespectful, and an alcoholic. Natasha Gutierrez reports.
Pilit kong iniintindi at inuunawa ang mga magulang ni Hart. Pero hindi na tama yung ginagawa nila sa akin eh.
Senator Sen Escudero finally stops ignoring the talks. He faces the media in Naga City 2 days after the parents of his actress girlfriend Hart Evangelista go public. Hart's mom and dad tell media they disapprove of the re-electionist. Cecil and Ray Ong Pauco accused their daughter's boyfriend of being arrogant, disrespectful, and an alcoholic. Escudero says he wants to separate his personal life from his public life, but he says he can't take it anymore.
Malaki siyempre ang epekto ko sa kanya. Nasasaktan siya, nalulungkot. Wala akong pinakita o ginawang masama kay Hart sa mga magulang niya. Alam nila yon.
He says Hart's parents want only one thing.
Lahat ng ito, lahat ng ginawa at sinabi nila, lahat ng gagawin pa nila o sasabihin pa nila, iisa lamang naman ang dahilan, rason at punot dulo nang galing mismo naman sa kanila. Gusto nila kaming paghiwalayin.
He expresses his love for his 28-year-old girlfriend who is 16 years younger.
Mabait siya, matalino, masayahin, masarap kausap. Mahal ko siya.
Escudero refuses to entertain other questions outside his statement. On stage, his fellow candidates talk about his character as part of their speech, something they've never done before.
Si Senator Sen Escudero, na halos nagsisilbing campaign manager ko, isa isang mabait na kaibigan na maaasahan mo pag ikaw ay nagigipit.
Sen Escudero, a good man. He is going to be like Raul Rocco, pero mas matinig sa mga girlfriend. Isa na lang. Basta may puso yan, may puso.
Other candidates also say it is a personal issue which shouldn't matter to the public.
It seems that that issue right now is between him and the particular person concerned and her relatives, if they really have those concerns.
Earlier, the opposition had called on Escudero to respond because it raises questions about his character. Do personal issues and relationships matter during elections? In general, Filipino voters don't distinguish between personal and professional. Former President Joseph Estrada's womanizing was never an issue with his fans. But Filipino values like respect for elders and humility are things voters look for. Natasha Gutierrez, Rappler, Naga City.
The United Nationalist Alliance draws smaller crowds in Mindanao without its three top leaders. Ai Macareg reports.
It's just not the same. The opposition's campaign in Davao City draws just 3,000 people, with none of the United Nationalist Alliance's top leaders in the sortie. A far cry from UNA's Northern Mindanao leg, the sortie crowd is smaller and the energy not as high, save for the usual dance numbers. UNA senatorial bets admit the absence of former President Joseph Estrada is a big loss in a region traditionally known as his bailiwick. They also get just a few endorsements from local politicians, with Davao's Duterte family supporting the rival slate Team Pinoy. Still, UNA candidates try to manage on their own. They campaign in Manay and Mati in Davao Oriental and nearby provinces. Besides support for Estrada, they say residents of Southern Mindanao have other reasons to go for the opposition.
Kung ikaw na andito ka, walang power palagi, hindi ka pa magagalit sa administrasyon. Kung ikaw ay kamag-anak ni Jose, yung babae na binaril, na nakasakay sa motorsiklo, pagkatapos siya magprotesta dito sa tinatawag nating kakulangan sa pagkain nito mga tao ito, pag uwi niya, binaril siya. Hindi ka ba magagalit? Kaya galit ang tao ng Mindanao sa administrasyon.
With the absence of the so-called three kings, UNA is shifting to a new strategy: divide the ticket and make their children lead the smaller groups. The slate plans to break into three teams come April, with Nancy Binay, Cagayan Representative Jack Enrile, and San Juan Representative JV Ejercito leading the pack. UNA says it wants to cover more ground and counter the administration's barrage of ads. Ejercito says the choice of team leaders goes beyond their father's name recall.
More than the strength, it's yung organization. Kasi medyo tingin nila organize yung aking campaign team na kaya namin magbuo ng sortie.
The campaign period for local candidates starts on March 29. By then, local bets are expected to focus on their own campaigns, but UNA candidates say it will also allow them to just ride on the events of their allies. The campaign is about to enter its next phase. With UNA's top leaders soon busy with their own candidacies and work, senatorial bets plan to run a more efficient campaign and maximize local connections. The opposition admits the challenge is greater as it has fewer resources going up against the administration machinery. Ai Macareg, Rappler, Davao City.
Batangas is a vote-rich province, many of whom belong to the Catholic Church. Are we seeing the rise of a Catholic vote? Catherine Visconti reports.
This grandmother of 18 knows she's pro-life, but she doesn't know which candidates share her position.
Dahil tayo ay naniniwala lamang kung ano ang kanilang mga sinasabi, kung ano ang kanilang ipinapaliwanag. Tiga po pag nangangampanya, magaganda lahat ng plataforma, magaganda ang sinasabi. Pero sa kabila noon, di naman natin alam ang tunay nilang mga layunin.
Dito, pag pumirma kayo, ibig sabihin, nilagay nyo inyong pangalan dito, at saka inyong pirma, kay kasama namin.
A devout Catholic, she signs a petition promising to vote for candidates endorsed by the Church. She is one of the first stops in a door-to-door campaign to mobilize Catholic voters in Batangas. Batangas is home to 1.4 million voters, almost all of whom are Catholic. Catholics here are trying to create a vote bloc for pro-life candidates.
I think our opponents are right when they say there has been no Catholic vote and there is no Catholic vote now. But what we are doing is we are trying to make it. Batangas is 96% Catholic, one of the highest ratio of Catholics among the provinces of the Philippines.
Their rally signs are red ribbons, a stand against purple pro-reproductive health ribbons. They say they feel betrayed that Catholic lawmakers passed a bill to support reproductive health and safe sex practices.
On second reading.
Because many of these candidates who pretend to be Catholics are actually destroying the Catholic Church.
Iglesia Ni Cristo is the most widely known block voting Christian sect. The indigenous Christian denomination is a natural magnet for politicians. The sect has an estimated 2 million members of voting age, which can be a deciding factor in tight local and national races. While INC leaders hand down decisions to followers, the campaign in Batangas operates from the bottom to the top. Lay leaders pay for campaign materials and identify candidates themselves.
The church is made up of 99% lay and 1% cleric. So the biggest portion of the church are the lay people. So it should be the lay that should do all these things. This is not a clerical work.
But as in any lay initiative, they will consult the bishop before issuing their final voting list 1 month before the election. Who will make the cut? The most Catholic candidates. Laymen say they are looking for those who are pro-life, pro-environment, pro-marriage, anti-drugs, anti-gambling, and anti-corruption. Survey frontrunners Lauren Lagarda and Sen Escudero, both perennial favorites of the INC, won't likely make the Catholic list.
And we know the lifestyle of Escudero. We know the lifestyle of Lagarda. They were both separated from their wives and husbands, respectively. So why we should vote for them? Based on our Catholic faith, based on morals.
They say it will be proof of the Catholic vote if they can pull the top-notchers down a few ranks in national surveys.
But if we are able to make them move, not down, slide down, then that's a success for us.
The 2013 election results will show if a sleeping giant has been awakened, pro-life Catholic voters. If that happens, 2016 presidential candidates will want that force on their side. This could mean further blurring the lines between church and state. Catherine Visconti, Rappler, Batangas.
Grief educator and counselor Kathy Babao says suicide is the confluence of many factors, which include family and school. University of the Philippines, Manila freshman Cristel Tejada reportedly killed herself because she failed to pay her tuition on time. Several groups blame her death on the strict policies of the university, but Babao says suicide is not a result of a single factor.
Yeah, everyone seemed to have zeroed in on UP Manila, that was obvious, and the tuition issue. But yeah, they seem to have forgotten all the other factors that might have come into play that may have contributed to her, her state of mind when she decided to commit the act.
Yes.
Home life in this age group is also a factor that needs to be considered. The type of support systems that she had, what was going on in her life, what was going on inside the home. That's another thing that people should actually take a look into.
Babao also lists some warning signs that could hint a person might be considering suicide.
Is, the student suddenly isolates, starts to isolate herself, absenteeism, changes in sleep patterns, changes in eating patterns, loss of interest in activities that the student previously wanted to engage in, and sometimes, outright saying that I have so many troubles. Every threat of suicide needs to be taken seriously.